House Republicans have wasted no time in finding ways to waste our time. Case in point, the House Oversight Committee recently had a hearing about Twitter bias. That's right. The biggest, thing that's happening in the country today, the biggest problem Republicans want to solve is Twitter. We got Twitter bias against conservatives. Oh no. So look, instead of doing anything for the average American, they ended up dragging former Twitter executives into Congress because their fifis are hurt. Not very happy, are they? Of course not. To which I say, stupid. All right. They claim, though, that, we would have won the 2020 election had Twitter not suppressed the all-important Hunter Biden laptop story. Yeah. So they claim that Twitter executives colluded with federal government, by the way, the federal government under Donald Trump, in order to, cover up the laptop story, which we all know about, and had overall targeted conservatives with big government censorship. It's collusion, the real collusion. Now, ex-Twitter executives Yoel Roth, James Baker, Vijaya Gadde, and Annika Collier-Navaroli testified during the hearing. And look, they talked about the Hunter Biden story. They addressed it. And they said, look, it was a mistake to block the article over misinformation. It was something that Twitter had decided to do on their own. They said, look, the government didn't tell us to do it. The government wasn't involved. We got sent an email, some of us did, saying that watch out for misinformation. And they looked at the Hunter Biden story and said, well, that can't be true. But it turns out a lot of stuff in the Hunter Biden story was true. Hunter Biden's very, he's got a lot of problems. But one of the things, by the way, that they did remove from Twitter are Hunter Biden's dick pics. Now, I actually agree with that. There's no reason that unconsensual nudes of Hunter Biden's penis should be out there in the open. Now, if you're a Republican and you're like, oh, why did they delete those? What, you really want to look at Hunter Biden's cock? I don't know why that's in the national interest. It's not. But nonetheless, I mean, maybe that says something about you. It's fine. It's 2023. Just come out. You will be welcomed with open arms. But not by the Republican Party that still hates the log cabin Republicans. No, this is like, the whole thing is, those pictures were essentially considered revenge porn. They should not have been released, and it was right that they were removed. But everything else, for the actual story itself, totally fine. Should have been released. I don't really care. All right? And so, that said, let the story run. No one cares. Aside from that, though, the rest of the hearing on supposed conservative censorship against us. Oh my God, we're being censored as conservatives. Clown show. And actually, it proved that the opposite had happened, that they actually went out of their way to help conservatives, including Donald Trump. So now, the Trump administration had actually called for the removal of tweets that he didn't like, tweets that, again, were just people making fun of him. Here's an example of that. Here's some of the hearing itself on that.
On September 8th, 2019, at 11:11 p.m., Donald Trump heckled two celebrities on Twitter, John Legend and his wife, Chrissy Teigen, and referred to them as the musician John Legend and his filthy-mouthed wife, unquote. Ms. Teigen responded to that email at 12:17 a.m. And according to notes from a conversation with you, Ms. Navaroli's counsel, your counsel, the White House almost immediately thereafter contacted Twitter to demand the tweet be taken down. Is that accurate?
Thank you for the question. In my role, I was not responsible for receiving any sort of request from the government. However, what I was privy to was my supervisors letting us know that we had received something along those lines or something of a request. In that particular instance, I do remember hearing that we had received a request from the White House to make sure that we evaluated this tweet and that they wanted it to come down because it was a derogatory statement directed towards the president.
They wanted it to come down. They made that request.
To my recollection, yes.
I thought that was an inappropriate action by a government official, let alone the White House. But it wasn't Joe Biden about his son's laptop. It was Donald Trump because he didn't like what Chrissy Teigen had to say about him. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
My.
My. Oh, I love that. So, look, whatever you think about, Chrissy Teigen, whatever, having the White House reach out to Twitter to say you must remove that tweet from Chrissy Teigen that was not good. You need to have the government come and censor you. No, that's ridiculous. That you shouldn't be doing that. And by the way, I don't want the left doing that. I don't want the Biden administration, trying to go and have private companies delete critical messages, tweets, or posts or whatever of a president. I wouldn't want Biden doing that, and he hasn't done that. And I wouldn't want the Republicans doing that. But you can see that they actually did. Now, of the substance of the tweet, what was it? That was asked by Maxwell Alejandro Frost, who talked about this. Take a look.
Ms. Naravoli, earlier you testified about a 2019 tweet that was about President Trump, and I think it's from Ms. Teigen. What was the tweet about?
Would you like me to give the direct quote?
Yeah.
Please excuse my language. This is a direct quote, but Chrissy Teigen referred to Donald Trump as a pussy-ass bitch.
Okay. Free speech. And what happened after Ms. Teigen posted her tweet? What did the White House do? What did the Trump White House do?
From my understanding, the White House reached out to ask that this tweet be removed. It was my team's job. This fell underneath the policy for abusive behaviors, and we evaluated underneath our insults policy. At that time, up to 3 insults were allowed, and so it was our job to determine how many insults were included within that phrase.
So the Trump White House reached out, not an agency, but the White House reached out and requested that you remove the tweet?
From my understanding, yes.
I just got to say, Maxwell Alejandro Frost will now forever be known as the man who had pussy-ass bitch entered into the congressional record. Well done. Well done. By the way, I love that guy. Just because of this, but this helps a lot. Awesome.
Oh yeah.
But, okay. Now, that said, it wasn't Democrats or the Biden administration. Again, Biden wasn't in office, but now you don't have that either. That called on Twitter to censor people for negative opinions. No, it was Donald Trump. In fact, according to Rolling Stone, a former senior Trump official told the outlet, the magazine, that, quote, it was very strange to me when all these investigations were announced because it was all about the exact same stuff that we had done. It was normal. So the Trump administration, again, going out of their way to try to censor people who have critical opinions of Republicans, specifically of Donald Trump and his administration. Weird. It turns out everything that they've been doing is pure projection. And it gets worse, by the way. Speaking about projection, now, the next video we're going to have is Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is going to go on to prove that, is there bias against conservatives? No, turns out there's bias against progressives.
At the time, Twitter's policy included a specific example when it came to banned abuse against immigrants as they specifically included the phrase "go back to your country" or go back to where you came from. Correct?
Yes, that was specifically included in the content moderation guidance as an
And
example.
You brought this up to the Vice President of Trust and Safety, Del Harvey, correct?
I did, yes.
And she overrode your assessment, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
And something interesting happened after she overrode your assessment. A day or two later, Twitter seemed to have changed their policies, didn't they?
Yes, that trope, go back to where you came from, was removed from the content moderation guidance as an example.
So Twitter changed their own policy after the president violated it in order to potentially accommodate his tweet?
Yes.
Thank you. So much for bias against right wing on Twitter.
How weird. It's almost as if conservatives are completely full of crap. Imagine that. And by the way, I mean, all the Republicans in Congress that are complaining about Twitter, they're targeting us. And by the way, the irony here is now you have Elon Musk that has taken over Twitter, and you still have conservatives crying. You got this, and it's so stupid to even have to talk about this person. Twitter account named Cat Turd. I don't know how many followers, a million, probably. Tons of followers on the right wing complaining about being shadow banned. Oh, why is Twitter shadow banning me still? Oh, we're still shadow banned. You had a right wingers locking their accounts to do some weird trick because, oh, my engagement, it has fallen off. Elon Musk, fix it. Fix it now. Twitter's not real life, guys. This is the most ridiculous thing. The government is actually literally spending time talking about this. That's the conversation that we're having. When you have actually, real problems all across the country. That's what Congress Republicans are focusing on. Twitter buyers. No, they have a victimhood complex. And everything that they're saying is projection. And we know this. They use that victimhood, by the way, as a club, as a cudgel, to beat down everyone else.